Hey, my name's Carrie, and I love to go thrifting. I look for items that I can find to flip online and also occasionally keep for myself. Let's go to 2 thrift stores today and see what I can find.
American Arbitrage.
I've been reselling for 10 years this upcoming March, and this DI, this Deseret Industry, has been my main thrift store that whole time. I have been going to Savers a little bit more lately, but this is the thrift store that I consider my home store. Now here is the most important part of the day, picking the luckiest cart at the thrift store. I think I picked the right one. Let's see how I do. Start out in the video games. I found a good one that I have sold before, this SpongeBob SquarePants Battle of Bikini Bottom. Right under it, or right by it, I just barely noticed, there is an iPod Shuffle. So I'm definitely going to get that. I took it up to the counter, and they only charged me $1. There was no sticker on it, but they gave it to me for $1. I can't complain. Now, this is very important when you're getting video games. Check the disc. This one is so scratched, I decided to pass. Found this vintage Shere Khan plush. It's only $1. It's a Disney store vintage plush. Does have a little bit of dirt on it. I'll need to clean it up, but I love the vintage vibe. I did a little bit of research. I found one sold for $29.99 plus shipping. I think it's reasonable to expect, $25, $30 plus shipping. Watch out for these. That just says Los Angeles. It's not Lakers related, so that's not going to get you any money. Always looking for vintage plush, pop culture stuff. That's just generic. Nothing too crazy in this pile of plushes. Now I'm on to the electronic section. I've been having really good luck in this section lately. The prices have been extremely reasonable. Tons of VHS DVD players coming in, other AV audio equipment. I love finding stuff with a remote like this, just the unit, the iHome stuff doesn't sell. I didn't really find anything in the electronic section today, but in general, I have been doing really, really well in this section. The collectibles section is great. Usually it's going to be a little pricier in the collectibles section, but here I find trading cards, I find video game systems, I find new in the package action figures, vintage stuff, sports collectibles. Today, nothing of note, but you always want to check out this section. You never know. At $25, that was tempting, but I decided to pass. I love to find interesting trinkets. This is a little statue. It's the seagull statue, which is from Salt Lake City. 75 cents. I didn't look it up, but that's a buy. I think I can get at least $10 plus shipping. Before I leave this thrift store, I do want to check one more section. That is the sportswear section. I love finding sports jerseys. I just like sports in general. Here in Utah, of course, the main one we're going to find are the Utah Jazz. Sometimes some of the college teams like BYU and Utah. I also like to find, any kind of NFL stuff. We get a lot of Denver Broncos stuff. And when it comes to baseball, Angels, Dodgers. I didn't end up finding anything, so on to the next stop, Savers. Now, this Savers is only like a minute and a half away from that DI, so it's a quick little jaunt over. Let's see what we find. I did my best to find the luckiest cart, and I'm on to the collectible section. I always check out this front side of the collectible section when I come in every time. Here you're going to find a bunch of these Liberty Fall little statuettes, little statues. These can be worth it. At $3.99, I decided to pass, but if you found these at a yard sale or something like that, I'd pick them up at like 50 cents, $1 a piece, or if you got a whole box of them for $10, that would definitely be something I would buy. Home decor is another section at the thrift store that I love to go to, not just to find stuff to flip on eBay, but the other part of our business is furniture upcycling. That's what my girlfriend does. She paints furniture. We find these items, and it helps to stage pictures so that we can sell the furniture better. Next up, I find a couple different pictures here. I love to part out stuff, blenders. I couldn't figure out what the brand was on these two. So at $4.99, I probably should have got them, but I decided to pass because I couldn't figure out the brand. All resellers, no matter how long they've been doing this, have certain areas they're weaker in. Pots and pans and kitchenware is one of my weaknesses. I'm trying to learn more about it every day. Video games, I've been selling these for 10 years. I love video games. There was just nothing of note today. Living in Utah, you always see a lot of 2002 Salt Lake Olympic kind of stuff. This stuff sold so much, it's everywhere. Pop culture stuff sells. This is a Joker Batman hat, snapback, $3.49. Not a big profit item. I should be able to make about 8 to 12 plus shipping on it. It's just easy to take pictures of these, easy to ship, so I can't pass them up. Next up, on to the plushes. I love to find some good vintage plushes, pop culture stuff, sports-related stuff. I am just not seeing much of anything today in the plush section, unfortunately, so I just had to move on. I was going to check out to see if this was a cool pop culture eagle of some sort, but it was just a generic brand. There is so much money in toys at the thrift store. Savers in general, almost everywhere has these toy bags. Other thrift stores do too. That's a nice Ninja Turtle right there. If that bag had 3-4 Ninja Turtles in it for that $4, I would have bought it. But there wasn't enough value in there, so I had to pass. Yo-yos, that's something you want to look out for. That's super generic, so I passed. But a lot of brands of yo-yos sell really well on eBay. Now, this bag coming up here is promising. There's a lot of good figures in here. There's a PJ Masks, a couple Little People. They're just isn't quite enough for the price to be worth it. If there was a few more Little People or PJ Masks figures, I would have bought it. You're going to find a lot of McDonald's and Happy Meal toys when you go to the thrift store and look through these toy bags. Just remember, unless you're getting a giant bag for a very small amount of money, you're going to want to pass. Now, you are going to get a lot of these in bags that have other good toys in them, so you want to save them and lot them up later, but I wouldn't buy a bag solely for the McDonald's toys unless they're like vintage 80s or earlier. Shout out to the Bonafide Hustler. I've been watching his channel for 8 or 9 years now. He always talks about getting RC cars. This was $3.99. I didn't even look it up. It's a good brand, new bright. I'm sure I can get 15, 20, maybe more, plus shipping on this item, so I got it. This little org kind of Bigfoot guy on the right is decent if he has his remote. The remote, honestly, is probably better than the actual figure. This was an interesting piece. I couldn't test it, so I didn't even bother looking it up, but I felt like it had some potential, but I decided to pass on it. A lot of times there's going to be bigger Imaginext toys in this aisle. Sometimes those are worth getting, but in general, I pass on those items. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I have a certain way I go through the thrift store. I pass right by the electronics section and I go into the toys and then I come back to the electronics. It doesn't make a lot of logical sense, but it's the way I like to do things. I've been having some good luck in the electronics section lately. It is definitely not my favorite section. The stuff is really difficult or annoying to ship, but there's a good ROI in general. I found a Denon cassette player the other day for $7. I have it listed at $300. One recently sold at $289 plus shipping. So I hope I can get near that. At $7, I have a lot of room to make some profit there. I definitely want one of these. I think that's a coin counter. That's pretty cool. I always like looking in this bag section. There's a lot of headphones. This is for the video game, the Donkey Kong Bongo one. It's a generic one. It's not made by Nintendo, though. Always look out for the sealed, unopened electronic stuff. Look it up. I decided to pass on that, but there's also some stuff in these bags that's oftentimes unopened. I love finding the computer gaming mice. Those can sell really, really well. If you don't mind packaging keyboards, gaming keyboards and certain keyboards can also sell for a lot of money. Other part of the collectible section here, see what I can find. I love finding the bobbleheads. I love finding cool statues. I love finding just interesting stuff that I can flip. Unfortunately today, nothing much. These are from, I believe, the 70s or 80s. You can find these all the time. They don't have too much value, but they are plentiful. This is a major thrift store pet peeve of mine. I hate going to these cases and not being able to see the price stickers on them. I'm never going to ask anybody for the price, so I'm just going to pass and move on. That's just what I do. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be making a lot more thrifting content, what's sold on eBay content, and other stuff in my daily reselling life. I'm also opening up my store soon, so there'll be some of that content as well. Thanks so much for watching.